There we go.
Thank you, Amy.
So Maria, I am happy to look at that. So if you can help me narrow down what I'm looking at,
And let me
that would
get,
be great.
oh, I've got some copies from.
Yeah, no, right, obviously, but,
Yeah, because I had.
yeah, because I can't answer it off the top of my head and
No.
it sounds unusual.
My head, that's why I write everything down.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. it has been. 3 people in our waiting room. We'll wait a minute.
These guys in.
Yeah. And I think our video is off, which is fine with me, but people out there may
Okay, yeah,
disagree.
Yeah. no, but that's good. At least we're getting closer.
There we go. All right.
We are official.
We are official. I will call the meeting of the Wednesday, June 3rd, Plainfield Select Board meeting to order. It is 6:02. We're starting a few minutes late, so forgive us, but here we are. And we'll start with the approval of our minutes from our last meeting.
I only saw one mistake. I sent it to Steve. There, it was camel instead of cane.
I'm gonna have to get after
That's,
that.
yeah.
Have to get
Anything?
after that. No, I didn't.
I missed that, so, all right, motion to
I
approve.
move that we approve the minutes.
second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, they are approved. And we will move on. Today, we have a fairly short agenda, but then the select board will be moving into a non-public session. So we will start with public comment. Did I just saw a hand go up? I don't get option here. Saw a hand over there.
Here, these are as an email from Maria.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm here to present a constructive streamlined path forward that will simultaneously protect the town's administrative integrity, respect our contracted professionals, and instill our shared commitment to community transparency. During our previous televised proceedings, this board expressed continuous unwavering confidence in the performance and methodologies of our contracted external auditing firm, Stick and Sanderson. I had sent them 8 legitimate auditing questions which has been included at the end of this correspondence. In an effort to review the technical testing protocols, financial materiality thresholds, and statutory asset verification methods utilized within our municipal reports, I contacted the auditing firm directly with a series of technical accounting inquiries. On May 29th, 2026, outside legal counsel representing Stick and Sanderson issued a formal response. They provided their idea of a proper solution. The firm's counsel explicitly stated that any direct engagement with a public stakeholder regarding the specific application of auditing standards to the town of Towns should constitute a breach of the firm's administrative and ethical duties of applying confidentiality under New Hampshire Administrative Code Section 505.01 and AICPA Professional Conduct Rule Section 1.700.001. Crucially, the firm's legal counsel identifies the Plainfield Select Board as the sole client holding the legal authority to waive this confidentiality restriction. And as I sent you another email before, this had nothing to do with right to know law or anything like that. It had to do with their standards that they follow. Because the auditors are professionally barred from speaking unless their client turns the key, that was their expression. The determination of transparency now rests entirely upon this board. Therefore, I am formally requesting that this board execute an official administrative confidentiality waiver authorizing Stick and Sanderson to fully respond to technical inquiries regarding the municipal asset testing and compliance auditing frameworks from 2008 to the present. Let us look at the logical implications of this request. First, if the board stated confidence in external auditors is fully well-founded Executing this waiver is the most direct way to validate that confidence. Allowing the auditors to openly clarify their public methodologies will demonstrate that to the taxpayers that the firm has fully performed the oversight duties they were funded to execute. Transparency is the ultimate tool to clear up public confusion and reaffirm institutional trust. Second, we must look objectively at what an administrative denial of this waiver would signify. If the board chooses to maintain this confidentiality block, it inadvertently signals to the community that there are aspects of the public financial records, asset exemptions, or operational ledgers that cannot withstand open professional review. A refusal to grant the waiver transforms a standard professional inquiry into an active closure of public accountability. To be absolutely clear, the independent auditors were not issued a right to know record production demand under RSA 91-A. They were simply asked to clarify their adherence to standard mandatory auditing procedures, including the Yellow Book compliance testing and the AICPA risk assessments. If there is nothing to conceal with the operational mechanics of our municipal general ledgers, then there's no objective rational basis for maintaining a confidentiality firewall between the taxpayer and the public watchdogs funded by those taxpayers. I request that this board vote tonight to execute the administrative waiver, and I request that this statement, along with the attached 8 legitimate auditing questions, be appended in full to the official minutes of this meeting. And that's the end of the public comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I don't agree with your premise. Several of the premises you lay out here, they just don't make sense. So you're saying that if we don't allow all taxpayers to correspond directly with this group of people, that it's a transparency issue, and it's not. We have, it's available, the fruits of their labor are available. How they process it and what they do and their internal deliberations and all that is for the company. to
Is
do.
what?
For the company.
Is the company.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what they do. And that's why I'm asking questions. How is it that they do
So
it?
you have procedural questions? It
Yes,
might be
I
helpful,
had-
it might be helpful if you'd actually do an executive summary where you had like maybe 2 or 3 sentences that say exactly what you're after.
Yeah. It's
so-
right in- It's right in that email.
So what
Every
is it,
question.
sum it up for me, what is it you're looking for?
Okay, I will read the internal.
No, don't read it.
Know
Sum
your
it up.
own words. What do you want to know from them?
Exactly. When they do a deficiency 1 year
Mhm.
and it continues on to the other years, do they continue putting that deficiency, listing it there? Or is the deficiency no longer mentioned because it was already mentioned originally?
It's listed every year.
Oh, it's listed every year. We can answer that for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
Every year.
I mean,
yeah, they were also in the reports, they had so much commingling of funds.
Hmm.
They
What
had,
does that mean?
this fund here because it has a lot of money, this fund here doesn't have money, so they take that money there and put it on this money. And there's so much transactional,
So you got this from their report,
yeah, you could see it.
and so what would talking to them do for you? How would that
Well,
how,
doesn't
if
that-
you had like,
Doesn't that register questions? Why is that happening? Is that standard procedure that other places have?
so have you done your research on this? How the normal procedures of this is outlaid?
Well,
And
it's
then-
not supposed to be happening.
Right, Maria, are you,
So you're saying you're doing something illegal? Is that what you're saying?
Well, there's standards of accounting.
Are you accusing
And-
this company of doing something illegal?
If they have, no, I'm not accusing anything. I just want to know, how is it that they are not saying, about the commingling of funds.
So I feel like, yeah, and I'll let you speak.
Go ahead.
No,
Yeah,
no,
no,
you go ahead.
Okay,
You go ahead.
so
Mhm.
as a hypothetical, if we were to, sign off on this waiver, who is going to pay for the consulting fees of this firm? Who's gonna pay for that?
What do you mean?
Every
They charge every
time
time you
someone picks
pick up
up the
the
phone at that company,
They are not
someone
nonprofit.
gets billed. Who's gonna pay for that?
They don't do this bad.
Aren't
No,
those
that's-
questions that you
No, no,
answered?
no,
Do they-
no,
No,
who's going to pay for that? Because we have this firm, we've hired their professionals, we have full confidence in their ability to do the job.
Mhm.
Their reports, their results are full public knowledge, anyone in the town can. If we sign this waiver, we are allowing anyone who wants to in the town to call up this firm and ask questions on billable hours.
Mhm.
Someone's gonna pay that bill.
All it is that they answer.
No,
exactly-
Maria, that's not,
There's
that-
8 questions.
yeah,
You're not-
2,000 taxpayers
Right.
in Plainfield, and if we sign this waiver, every one of them can call and talk to these people. Why are they special?
I mean,
Yes.
it is,
so it's,
I mean,
People
there
can
are
give them
something
that.
like 480.
I just don't wanna pay. the bill.
There are something like 480
No.
municipal entities in the state of New Hampshire, if you count school districts, okay? So, you know, there's 235 towns, and then there's a close to a like number of school districts.
Mhm.
So say 400 in round numbers. Plodzik and Sanderson, the firm that you're questioning, they audit 272 town and school districts in the state of New Hampshire. They are the biggest auditing firm, but bar none, in the state of New Hampshire on public finance. These guys know their craft. They prepare their documents that meet both sort of the conventional accounting practices and the Gatsby in government standard accounting practices, and that's why you see some redundancies in their report. They are meeting both standards with their report. We pay them $20,000 a year without additional fees for the audit. That's what we can do, Maria. They issue a report with an opinion. They put in their opinion in their management letter, things that they would like to see us do differently, as they do with every entity that they audit. And we can do some of those, and some of them we can't do, just because you wouldn't wanna pay for it as a tax collector. Our taxpayer, but what they say at the end of all their audits, even the qualified audits. Which, when you don't have the actuary study on pensions done, which we do now every 2 years, we pay a company out of Jefferson Solutions. Out of Franconia to do this study, almost no one else does that, costs us $3,000 every 2 years to have a study for a number that nobody understands. But it allows Plodzik and Sanderson to give us an unqualified audit. They are assuring, to Ken's point, they are assuring the taxpayers that the money that we have been entrusted with has been taken care of properly. That's the job of the audit. The
Yeah.
book is there, anyone can see it, and their reputation is on the line if they're wrong.
Okay, can you answer? One of the there's several audits that have only 30 pages and the others are approximately like 60 pages. What happened those years that they only had 30 pages? Those are simple questions you probably, so.
But can
But
you,
that's something for you to,
You look at that.
you can figure that out. We don't have to pay the firm
Yeah.
to
but it-
just tell
will
you the
Will
difference.
you be able to give me all their notes that they gave you?
you
I don't see why.
have all,
Yeah.
I'll give you every note they've ever given me right now, here.
I mean,
They don't give you anything.
They have never given me a
It's-
note.
the
well,
audit
He's
document that they
a new
produce.
select board member.
Do they have memo? Like, they don't give you
Sorry.
anything.
You
Just
can-
the-
Our audit procedure is that around the 15th of January of any
Yeah.
particular year, and they're just now finishing the 2024 one, or 2025, I get my years mixed up, they go so quick. They come here with a team of people, not all CPAs. There's always CPAs here, but there is a team of people.
Mhm.
Anybody that's worked for the town for any length of time has seen them. The library folks bring their books. The treasurer brings her books, the trustees of the trust funds bring their books. The clerk and the tax collector bring their books. They spend 3 days here working on those books, asking us questions, testing, doing their work. And then they go back to their shop and they finish the job that they have begun. And they issue us a report that allows us to put the confidence report that we need into the town report. The most important number that they are calculating for us is unassigned fund balance. Because the selectmen can use that at tax rate setting and they need to have that number we need that number to be accurate. So, I mean, these guys are the real deal, but the output is that book. And that's what people have access to, that
Okay.
book.
So they do not provide you any memorandums, questions that you have, and they
Sure.
don't meet. with
I'm
you.
just saying.
They meet with us
I
constantly.
move that we
3
make
days.
a, excuse
During
me,
the 3 days you provide.
Excuse-
I'm gonna just say one thing first, and then we're gonna wrap this up.
Sure.
We're gonna take a vote. Which is if, and I do appreciate your concern for this, but if the select board had the same concerns, we would absolutely contact Plodzik Sanderson and talk to them. It is our right as a board to do so, and they would speak to us. We are happy. I do understand. I understand about the audits as much as I feel I need to, and I have read our audits every year that I've been a select board member. We don't have questions as a board about their, their work, the work they're doing and what they're providing to us. There are sometimes recommendations and we talk about whether we can implement those or not, and sometimes it's a matter of money. There's never been a glaring thing that we're like, oh, we're in some trouble. They're very, very good audits. So we have not contacted them. We are not, I don't believe in any way feeling that we need to give permission to any, not just you, any individual tax holder to contact them directly. If we had a problem with that, we would handle that as a board. So with that in mind, but we're happy you asked us to vote and we will vote.
I move that we,
You would vote, put it in the affirmative so that we issue one, and then we will, if you're opposed, that we'll vote it down, but the motion should be in the positive. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean?
I move that it's just sticking
I
in
know,
my
I know,
throat
right,
to
I know.
actually say the
It's
word.
just good parliamentary procedure.
Okay. I move that we issue a waiver for what's the specific, doing with the specific?
For, Maria Guzman to, yeah, we can look at the,
Plainfield citizens. I don't think it should be specific to
fine.
Maria,
that's fine.
because we're not singling
that's
her
fine.
out, but it's in here somewhere, isn't it?
To execute an administrative waiver, right, is what she.
I
wants us
move
to do.
that, oh, yes, right here, okay. I move that we vote to issue an administrative waiver to the firm to access
Plodzik and Sanderson,
Plodzik and Sanderson, our auditing firm,
to ask questions, yeah.
to ask
that's fine.
questions on procedural
Okay,
concerns.
all those in favor?
Oh, you need a second.
Oh, I need a
And you might-
second.
And you might not get a second, or you might. But you have to have a
I'll
second.
second it,
Okay,
that's fine, I'm happy to
Yeah.
put the motion on the floor, yep. And then, all those in favor? All those opposed?
Aye. Nay. Is it?
So we are voting against that motion. I know it's confusing to put it in the affirmative, but we're gonna deny that tonight, and I appreciate you bringing it to us, but
Not a problem.
we will. That way it's on the record that it was brought and we've dealt with it.
Yeah.
Other public comment? Hearing none, we will move on to our department reports. Steph, you had a busy day yesterday.
We had a very busy day, but a very successful day. So we did the Plainfield School evacuation drill with 36 staff members and 177 students. We had our full emergency management team on hand, which included our state liaison, Jill, our police department, our fire department, our highway, state police troop C, Cornish Police Chief Vivian, and Cornish Rescue, all right here in town. The drill started at 1:30. It took 40 minutes to have those kids up in Flickinger in their assigned seats. It was phenomenal, phenomenal. The state was extremely impressed with how everybody communicated, how everything went seamlessly. And so, yeah, it was a lot of planning, a lot of communication to get all of, our ducks in a row, but it worked great.
Holy smokes,
And,
that's great.
everybody said, I think we overthought this, but we
No,
didn't.
you didn't,
We
that's why
didn't,
it works.
because-
You cannot
exactly.
plan enough.
And we can never know when a real emergency is gonna happen,
Yes,
and it was perfect.
and you don't know
Everybody knows
which
what
piece
they
of
need to do.
that, if you hadn't thought of it, you don't know which piece of that would have been.
It's true. All the extra
Yeah.
Is you dot and the Ts you cross.
Yeah.
Can help.
You can't
So
overthink it.
this is neither here nor there, but I'm kind of curious, like, all the students leave out of Plainfield School, walk up Bonner Road, or they go behind like Baines Road to
Nope,
get there?
they walk literally up
Around the corner there?
around the corner, so we shut off Bonner Road while they
Yeah.
walked up, then we shut down Main Street. Sergeant DePietro was at the post office to shut down there, just in
Yeah, yeah.
case, and we did have a porta potty truck that he needed to step in front of, because they weren't gonna stop. And then the kids and the staff crossed right in front of Miller and got to the courtyard and went right into Flickinger, and then we had the school buses and parents dismissed right from the parking lot.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you had a porta potty.
Oh, no,
for the-
There's like,
That must have been a spectacle.
so there's the town truck blocking
Weather
the road, and
cooperated.
then there's trucks blocking right here where I'm
Wow.
standing.
Yeah, it was
And
a
the
good
kid-
day.
And they come up in,
They
it's
come
not
up in
quite
a buddy.
by class,
So it's
but
like
they
eighth
come up
grade,
in groups.
kindergarten, 7 first, 6 second, and they just go right up. The older kids are on the inside, next to the traffic, but there is no traffic, and the littles are on the inside where they should be, and they were spectacular.
And
And
the reason
Well done.
is that maybe 10 years ago, maybe it's probably longer now, there was a time when Plainfield School had its own buses, and they had drivers in the school.
Yeah.
Bill Fleming was the custodian, and he was a bus driver, and his I think, father-in-law was the same. But since so we could bus them to KUA, to Flickinger, and even there was a time when KUA had buses and drivers, but they can't guarantee that. So the
Right.
last couple of these drills have involved this walking feature.
Yep, and it was spectacular. Melissa Underhill, who is the head of the health services and their EMD on campus at KUA, was there. She helped oversee everything on campus. She confirmed that they have 196 seats on their buses. They might have drivers, they might not, but that's always an option for us. If we did have an incident that we needed immediate, and we
Yeah.
couldn't walk, they would be able to bus and shuttle. So it really was great. We had a hot wash after, and the conversations was amazing, and it was really good. We have discussed maybe doing it on a yearly basis. Just
Yeah,
so
I think,
everybody
yeah.
stays familiar,
Yeah.
you know,
there's always somebody. new.
Let the kids move through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, and not necessarily doing it at the end of the day. Why not pull it at 10 AM?
yeah,
And then bring them back to campus once it's cleared and everything's okay.
yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
it is fun to hear the motoring public who has a different view.
Well, you heard it, that's right.
They were
that's
backed
right.
up, and guys like, what's going on? I was like, oh, we do a drill, and I think I said annual, but I think it's every 3 it's
It is,
required,
it's
right?
required, but
Well, my town doesn't do this is just ball. I said, well, our town does.
There's a detour.
Right, our town does it, and you're just gonna have to, I mean, he was locked in, that's where, he was right
Yeah.
here, just waiting. But the truth is, it was 15 minutes
Right.
nobody was
tops,
sitting,
tops.
yeah.
And most of those people didn't wait 15 minutes, cause they didn't get into the line
That's right,
that quickly.
that's right.
I mean, we even, I don't know if you planned it, we even had Kevin McNamara's big red 10-wheeler was the first one in the list.
right.
He was blocking, you weren't going by, you weren't going around. And Kevin was very good natured about it,
Absolutely.
he understood.
He's had a child through, I
Yeah.
mean, this is
Yeah.
what we do for our kids.
Yeah.
They're most
Yeah.
precious, treasures in town, we're gonna keep
Yeah.
everybody safe.
Yeah.
I
So-
thought, he's not here tonight, but I thought. When you were talking on the radio from the EOC, I thought fire department was particularly professional on the radio.
Extremely.
Bruce has a really nice demeanor on the radio.
And that was one of the things, so it just happened perfectly that FEMA was here to do their Grantham Mountain Road Bridge.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right,
It was
right.
perfect, so they
She spent
wanted
the
to
day.
trip. Jill, who's our state liaison, I invited her saying, we're doing a drill, she goes, well, I'm gonna be here anyway, can I stay? And I'm like, I would love you to
Yeah.
stay, I want your input.
Like
Yeah.
she was
She
showing
was-
the EOC thing. the-
Yep,
the
so
website.
it was the first time we opened up the EOC for a drill.
Mhm.
Where's the EOC?
Where is it?
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be right here,
You're sitting here.
but we found out that the base radio is not hooked up and doesn't work.
Oh,
So that's on our to-do list. I gotta talk
That's
to you
okay.
about.
It sounds like the power supply has gone.
Yeah.
There was a time when we used it more than we have recently,
Yeah,
and so they weren't able to revive it, so they just used the
so I used the
PD.
PD
but it's
and
the
that was
same.
fine.
Yeah.
It was fine, but we will set it up. We wanna do it over here in
In
this
fact,
corner.
the
Good for
PD
you.
has a more of an EOC feel with the cameras and the screens.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's.
But,
Not as
um,
speedy.
it was,
Right,
it was really great assessment, what we did right, what we could do better.
Yep.
Cause there's always a learning curve.
Oh, yeah.
And knowledge is power. So it was
Absolutely.
just wonderful to have her right there. Steve was in there. I called him. I said, come on, Steve. And so then he went out and took
right,
pictures, but.
we've had an emergency at the school, we opened the EOC, I said, well, it probably out of month.
Yeah.
But, and then so
we-
Hanover Dispatch was
Yeah.
listening,
Yeah.
but the good thing is that, you know, this was Chief Elder's first in
Yeah.
command. This was Chief Gutzfeld's first
Okay.
evacuation in command,
Mhm.
and they worked wonderfully together.
Yeah,
That's
You know,
good.
there was no turf issues, it was fabulous.
that's fantastic.
And I just love the energy of all the first responders wanting to work together. Rich, his radios worked. We heard, we heard Highway 103 in place. I'm like, yeah. And Jill's looking at me like, why are you excited about that? I'm like, you don't understand. We've been trying to get these radios and these trucks,
Yeah,
you know?
It
And
seems
was
like a
just-
small thing, but.
But it was
not.
huge. And then Bill
awesome.
Taylor was up here with the other truck and it
Great.
was just, it was wonderful.
That's fantastic.
And I think everybody felt a little ease to say, okay, if something happens, we know where our
Yeah.
place needs to be.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it doesn't have to be Bonner Road, it could be Hayward Road, it could be Westgate, who knows,
That's right.
you know? So, very excited, very
That's
excited.
fantastic.
Tomorrow we have food pantry, and then on the 19th and 20th, we have food pantry, shut up, Ellen.
All right.
If anybody's gotten their plain facts, you'll see that I put in a request for anybody that has a garden to possibly grow an additional row of vegetables for the food
Oh,
pantry.
nice.
oh, that's a good idea.
State
really nice.
funding and federal funding have been cut, so this year, we're very lucky that we were a recipient of the New Hampshire Feeding New Hampshire, which is a grant that helps us spend money for local farms in our area, so Edgewater, Riverview, McNamara, they gave us $800 this year. In years past, we've gotten $1,800,
Yeah, I was gonna say that's-
$2,000, so it's a big cut, but we're very thankful for everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just thought, you know, we have a lot of gardeners, we have a lot of hobby farms in town, so if
Right.
somebody has extra green beans or tomatoes, I would love them. I would love to just sprinkle the bountiful harvest.
Truckload of zucchini come off.
I will get my baseball bat, I know.
Zucchini has to be under like.
Yes, under 14 inches.
Yeah, under a foot, no, under a foot.
Yes, oh, no, should be little, but you.
But
once
Yes,
the
I
marriage
think a
falls
lot of
off, it's-
people who are either watching or reading Steve's, you know, some
Yeah.
of his reports.
Yeah.
What is the best way for people to get their vegetables to you?
Call me.
Call you.
Either you can drop them off when we're open, and I
Yeah.
left that on my little thing, so they can come anytime between 8 and 9 when we're open
Drop at the food.
at the food pantry,
Yes.
or if they're
Not
working.
at Steve's desk.
Right,
That's-
but
But-
in the fresh, I mean, obviously, it's more work for you in that you have to distribute quickly with fresh vegetables,
Right.
right?
Right, so it would be best on the weeks that we're open, but I also do our care packages every week for fighting 68 hours of hunger.
Yeah.
Which is our backpack program that continues through the summer, so
So
there's
if
ways
people
for me
grow
to
it, you
know.
can make it go away.
Exactly, you grow it, I will find a home for it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so no, we've had a great week, a lot of good things happening. Just a reminder, we do have our community barbecue, police department and you guys.
And you know, I'll be in Chicago.
What is
But I'll
that
be
now?
thinking of all
That
of you.
is Thursday, June 25th.
'Cause
I
I'll not
have
be
it on my
here.
calendar.
Highway usually comes, Mikey
They
likes
do.
to grill, which is great, and like,
Mikey likes to
I
eat.
don't eat.
we always have a package of hot dogs for Mikey,
Grill, but yeah,
but we appreciate him
I've seen
helping.
him at the grill.
So I'll be coming from work, so I won't be anywhere near food.
Okay.
I'll clear off tables like I
That's
did
great.
last year.
That's awesome, that's awesome. So, we set up at the school around 11. Guests start showing up at 11:30, 11:45, and we just have a blast. It's wonderful. Everybody gets a chance to
What
talk to the
was the
select board.
week that making sure propane tanks are full, right? Didn't we struggle last with the?
Don't worry, there'll be an extra in my car.
You got it? You
Yeah.
figured that out?
And then because of the construction at the school that starts on Monday of that week, if it's a rain, we're gonna go to the Plainfield Fire Station. You
Yep.
can grill outside and then just shuttle it in,
Yeah,
so that'll be fine.
Yep.
They have enough tables and everything. It's
let's
easy.
hope it's sunny.
I know today would have been, oh my
Oh my
God,
God,
gorgeous.
this was the best. today. I mean, you got a nice day for your drill,
We
but
did,
this one is even better.
yeah.
Today was.
I thought it was hot.
Tomorrow's gonna be hotter. Tomorrow's gonna be hotter, yeah. Anyway, thank you all for your support. Everything has really gone well. Thanks.
Great, thanks.
You have every reason to be proud.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
No,
yeah.
It went well, it
Yeah.
did.
It was
And you
good.
had the state lady right there, but you're gonna be in like her
I
newsletter.
know, I know,
bet,
that's really
yeah.
good.
Good.
So if this was the army, I'd tell you, keep up the momentum.
Yep, I'm going, don't
Yeah.
stop, that's right.
Keep up with it.
So facilities, highway roof, we're working on a couple of punch items, but that'll close out and we've got a lovely new roof and good structure and improvements there. And I think a contractor that we would work with again. And so that's a good thing too.
That's a
because
good
we're
thing.
looking-
And
looking for
a shout
resources.
out to Brad, I mean, the facility manager position, it was a big job, it's $100,000 job. And Brad going through and developing a punch list is a skill set that we have not had
That's right.
before we had a facility manager, whether it was part-time or full-time. And in this case, with a project of this size, there is a punch list, but they were very willing to address them, but having somebody to check that the work has been done up to snuff and that it meets our standard,
Mhm.
and so that's been helpful.
So what is a punch list? I'm sorry.
It's just little.
There must be a
tweaks and things
military term for it too.
Well,
Yeah, but you can't say it out loud. So it's, so you go through the project and there's a million things that, you know, in this case, there's a million fasteners. And there's adhesive that has to be applied a certain way and materials, and then the basic condition of the job. Is it neat and put back together the way, you know, after all the work is done? Is it essentially the way it needs to be? Is there something that needs to get? We had some insulation that needed to be replaced and done more smoothly, and just little things like that.
Yeah.
And they've.
It's
They
the
were-
grocery list for you to get your last check.
Right.
You don't
The
get your last
reason you
check
hold
until
the
you.
last check, it
Right.
keeps everybody on their best behavior because, you know, they make money when they're working and they go from your job right to the next job.
Right.
And if somebody isn't checking the end
It
of
can be
that,
hard to get them back.
it's
when you
hard to get 'em
realize they
back.
didn't put the
But they
hooks on
do
the
come
back.
back with a $25,000 check.
if they have
Yes.
some money on the line, they do come back. So I think we structured the job properly and I think we ran the
Correct.
job pretty well. And they moved through it
Yeah,
fine,
let's take
and
on
I
a
think
job
they're,
that well.
they're somebody that we could work with again.
Right,
And
and we
so-
probably spent at least 5,000 or 6,000 more than we would have if we tried to piece it together with Brad and Marshall. But it is so much better to just have a big crew move in, that's a big building, 50 bays upstairs.
And the exposure,
and so
the
they
number of
just did it.
days where we were at risk for knee ring was like zero because of
Mm-hmm.
the mechanism, the way they did it, but also the materials they used. And so all of that sort of came together really nicely, because I was a little leery about how much they would bite off before they were covering up.
Mhm.
And, you know, sometimes contractors are willing to rely on those blue tarps a little more than I am, you know, comfortable with. So in the end, I think it went well. We'll
And it
wrap
was a
up the-
good lesson on, there just are times when you need a professional crew, 8 or 9 guys, get the job done.
Mhm.
You know, we,
Move through it.
you know, we'd be a quarter of it done now and Marshall would be onto something else and say, I'll work on the trusses next time it's rainy.
Mhm.
And it's done now, it's over, and
Yeah.
we're out of Rich's way, he can do his summer work.
Yeah.
And so it went well.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Looks good from the road.
It
Yeah.
does, it looks great.
And I think just to get it on your radar, back, was it, I don't know what year it was, I did the siding on the stage road side.
Right. That was
So
a year
vinyl
early.
siding building. I don't know how soon after the original building was built, the vinyl went on, but it's been on a long time. It was getting a little rough looking back a number of years ago on the stage road side, and we replaced that. The other side, as I'm going around looking at this job, I'm looking at that wall needs to be addressed and the end walls are showing
And
their
the
age.
plastic
Your
gets
punch list
brittle
get
and
bigger
lawnmowers
than
get taken.
contractor's job.
No, well,
But we just need- it
the
reminded me
siding
that
that's
we need
on
to
the
do
building
the
was
side.
intended to be its final siding, which was T111.
Lifetime siding.
Well, it was on there forever, you know, so they're sheathing, well, I guess the T111 is probably the sheathing.
Yes.
But they had not intended that building needed to be done in vinyl siding.
Right.
Many years ago, Art Thompson came and said, you know, I think the joints on the T111, because they're 4x8 sheets, had started to move a little bit as water came down them and stuff.
They're
And so we-
supposed to be flashed and some of it was, and the flashing still let water sit at that joint, and you can imagine.
So the vinyl siding gave it a nice facelift and gave it a little more protection. And it is a very long time. I think Randy Gage, not his fault. I think the mowing is what tends to break them, cause
Oh,
you know, a
interesting.
rock will hit
Yeah.
it and it'll bounce, big, huge wall.
Well,
And-
except that, that's got a skirt, you know, the vinyl doesn't go all the way down,
Mm.
and so that is actually probably a good design feature, as we move
But
forward.
what you're saying at some point, it
I
never
think in the
ends.
next few years, we need to do the vinyl on the other sides, and it's just, it's not
Okay.
unexpected. We've gotten our 40 years or 35 years out of it, so that's certainly, well, it's just, it's, as I was walking around, I'm just noticing.
Well, and we're
You know.
keeping the building, so yeah. we
And
need
that's
to
the other
have-
thing is that.
This will make me seem like an old duffer, which I am. $8,900 to side that building because it was Norm Torrey's father-in-law, Bugby, who did that work. And it was $8,900. I can remember when the selectmen rang their hands over it, like, oh my
Yeah.
God, $8,900, where are we coming up with that money? But it was, in hindsight, it was $8,900 well spent.
Yeah.
And it's, do we have, so we know that's coming down.
Yeah.
Like, we have these conversations and then, you know, and then a few years later, someone goes, you know, that vinyl siding still needs to be, is there somewhere you're kind of keeping a running list of this sort of
So-
thing? And it's something
Isn't
certainly.
that a wonderful?
Wish you hadn't asked that question. Be here till like
Yeah.
15.
Because really, you know, we think, oh yeah, I heard about that. What happened? What did we decide on that?
So I'm trying to do that, which is a little bit of old style
Mhm.
asset management.
Yeah.
We're also taking a leap into the future of true asset management in the water department.
Right.
Which we got a grant for. So my hope is that what we learn and what we can demonstrate for value out of this asset management thing in the water department will transfer to other departments, and that we will bite off pieces of those
Yeah.
in probably a fashion that we understand because we did this first one,
Yeah.
soup to nuts.
Yeah.
So we may do little inroads in all departments, or we may do one department at a time, but you can imagine, you know, human services budget versus highway budget is a little different.
Yeah.
And so they're different sized bites, so there may be a better way. In the end, I think the town and technology, the expectations of the town, the needs of the town will want us to have that more thorough understanding and more official
Mhm.
transparency about how we figure out what to do.
I know our finance committee would
Right?
like to know.
And so,
Yeah.
right,
Well,
and so,
but the short answer is there is a list for every building. You have these things on a list.
yes, but I would say, as is the problem with all of those lists, the list I generated the first pass when I first became your temporary
Mhm.
facility manager.
Part-time.
And I debated whether to do it when you brought me on full time. And I basically said, what did we do of that last list and how did we go about deciding? There isn't a whole, there is some of value, but it's kind of generic. You know, you have to look at your building envelopes, windows, doors, siding,
Yeah.
roofs, right? So we're always looking at that. So we're always
Yes,
having Marshall come around and patching and
yes.
staying ahead of our paint jobs. And the roofs, like you're already aware, Philip Reed, you're already aware that we've got the drone
Yeah.
guy looking at our slate roofs. And so
Yeah.
those are under control. We're on those shell items. There's a huge laundry list of things you might like to do. But
Yeah.
because they don't run to the level of emergency, and there's always those shell things we're already doing that
Yes,
take a lot of money. I'm not ready to say you need to double your facilities budget,
absolutely.
but I also
But-
I don't have the data to tell you how much, because that would be your second question.
Right, well,
Not
right.
What should we
right.
work on,
Yeah.
but how did you figure that out, right? And I, you know.
Well,
But
but
it is
the
something
reality is things make the list and they're
Yes.
talked about for years and sometimes
Yeah.
more years than we'd like. But like the highway roof, we find a funding opportunity and we got it
Right.
done.
So that's, you know, very much people-based, right? You've got people who have been around long enough to understand what's happened in the past.
Yes,
And they're keeping tabs because they drive by and it's part of their job to think about this stuff. And then you got some of the technology stuff that can help you make better decisions, and that's what I'm trying to bring up underneath the people thing, so that as people leave,
Yeah.
You're right, you're right.
you don't
Yeah.
lose that body of
Well, that's
knowledge,
exactly
right? And so it's great, and it's super valuable, and in the interim, we lean pretty heavy on it,
Yeah.
right? But I'm really wanting to put that infrastructure up underneath
And
it.
it is something, as Amy says, the finance committee has asked
Yeah.
us to do more intensive work on.
Right, not
for
just
years.
like, oh my gosh, we never got to that side, I need to be like, around 2028, we're really gonna have to budget
Right.
for that
Right.
before it gets to where.
It's,
Well, we do it for the paving of the roads, like,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Right.
do this,
Yeah.
this year, we're gonna do this, that's what we're budgeted
And so
for.
I think the next really hot button issue for facilities, other than, Brad and I keeping paint on buildings and working with Marshall, is the roof at the Philip Reed Library. That is
Yeah.
not gonna be inexpensive.
Yeah,
And it's unfortunately, the addition is 20 years old
Yeah.
now, right?
yeah,
and it's asphalt shingles and blah, blah, blah.
So what are the chances we get grant money for that?
Probably pretty low.
Yeah,
No,
no.
that's too
And it's
bad.
a complicated roof. It's a hip roof.
Yeah.
It's got lots of seams.
It's got
lots of
character.
valleys. It does have character.
But
Um,
that's why I'm cautiously optimistic about these guys we just worked with.
Oh, okay.
Because one of the things that will be an advantage in that, first off, asphalt shingles are pretty straightforward.
Mhm.
So it's not rocket science to apply them. Put them on hips and ridges, on that building, that's a little more complex.
Mhm.
And it's always nicer when you have lots of different roof lines coming together to bring it all together at once. Rather than do one side, then come up the other side, all that stuff. And with a lot of people, you can do that. With a small crew, you can't so much. And so I'm really wanting to cultivate this
Mhm.
group as somebody we can work with. And it'd be nice if we had a couple others that we had some exposure to, that we had some confidence with. And I'd much rather start with a couple of little projects with any of these contractors, see how it works, get a gauge of how they operate, what their attitude is. But I'm looking for good partners,
Get a
right?
frequency discount too.
Say that again?
Get a frequency discount too. Oh, you just did our highway garage, maybe.
I'll
you
tell
put
you
that
as
in.
a
Frequent
contractor,
shopper.
the thing that's easiest for me to take out of a budget is that uncertainty factor.
Right, you're gonna
Some
get paid.
contracts, you just have to put a slightly bigger contingency in because the job is complex, but the people are people you don't know.
Yeah.
But once you know them, once you've done a job or two,
It's true.
that money you
trust.
can more safely say, if something comes up, I'll be able to ask them for that money. I won't have to already have it
Yeah.
because I'm worried that they're gonna run to their corner and be
Yeah.
defensive. And so that's what I think is a better relationship for the town to cultivate, is a few of each type that you work with occasionally and you know how each other works.
yeah,
Great,
And that,
Generally true for the households too.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's
it's true.
great.
so.
All right, what
Okay.
else do you have for us?
Yeah. All right, so, town hall painting, Marshall's delayed, last couple of weeks have been kind of nasty, and he's gotten about a third of the way through. He's looking at the week after next, there's a faint chance end of next week, but
This
that's
is
the
for
company for
Division
this
work,
building.
yeah.
And then he's got also for us, over at Philip Reed, some of the trim stuff that we discussed. The Meriden rooftop solar project, the equipment installation is all done. We've got our third-party verification. They had a guy there either today or tomorrow to program some of the monitoring equipment. And then right now, Liberty's bottleneck. They've got to upgrade a transformer and they're saying 2 weeks, but
Yeah.
they said that 2 weeks ago. We did meet with an engineer on Friday and he thought there's no reason they couldn't knock it out in a day. And he thought he was from outside the area. But he said in his area, it would be in the queue and done in a week. He's supposed to let us know, but it's imminent, but the work itself on the building, with the exception of the connection to the internet, hit a little snag. The wire that is hanging on the outside that's meant for this purpose, doesn't seem to be where it was expected in the inside of the building. So I have to go do a little ringing out of circuits and figure out where it is, but I know it's there.
Right.
It's just, we haven't looked at it yet. So that project went really well. I've done the initial reconciliation. We're waiting for 2 bills, one from an electrician. And at that point, we've got all the other paperwork is in place and a little spreadsheet. And I'll go through it with Steve and Devin will cut the town a check because we use the town credit card to purchase the materials for the warranties in the town's name.
Mhm.
And so all that occurred as planned and,
For a commercial building, if solar set large enough to run it, make it a net, a net zero building, make it. Use the sun to create enough electricity for all its use, including the heat pumps, $24,000 on the roof. I mean, it's crazy cheap in terms of,
Yeah,
because of Tony's Newton's posse, he can be frustrating to work with, but he has a group of dedicated volunteers who wanna do solar. They wanna come to your house and do solar, or your house, or anybody's house and do solar. It's how they wanna make the planet better. And, I mean, didn't you guys have estimates of $75,000?
the last one we got from Revision Energy, I've used them twice personally, so they're a good company, was $90,000
wow,
for that same
Wow.
size.
And it's running for 25.
I mean,
That's amazing.
yeah.
so,
And it's local, and I
Yeah.
love that.
right,
It's great.
yep, and
Great.
so.
I mean, it creates a few challenges from the code perspective in terms of Brad getting verifications that he needs. But
But we
essentially,
got
they
it
did a
in the
great
end.
job.
We've got
They
a
just
third
did
party to go through the whole thing and say, yes, it's to code, it's in writing with a license number behind it, so it's as good as we can get. And
Right.
so and Tony wasn't objecting to that at all.
Right.
He understood why we wanted it and supported and helped us make it
Mhm.
happen.
I mean, that is the model building for the future of the town of Plainfield. Is that library. It is the exact same temperature in that building year round, no fossil fuels, massive insulation, air sealing. It's where we all want our houses to be, and yours will never be.
Impressive.
Oh, no. I'm the Conley.
That's right. I mean, it is a cool building, and if for no other reason to visit the American Library to see how good technology can be.
Yeah, it's
In terms of how just comfortable it is to be in that building.
Fire station, the little leak that had some drywall, I hung the drywall this afternoon, the wall dried out, we just
Thank
let
you.
it stay open. Anyway, and so that'll run through its process, I got a little bit of patchwork going on at Philip Reed, same thing, over the next few days, we'll just move it through and get it painted up. The IT/phone project. We did get our proposals from Key Communications for the phone piece. We got first round of pricing on PCs and things from Ormsby's. For the computer side of it. So we have phones, computer and internet are these various services and we currently get our phone and internet from Comcast and we don't like them particularly. And we have fiber coming and we've got a deal, so our internet's free, so that's great. That'll happen sometime in September, and so aligning with that, we're trying to get our hardware and software in the office more modern, Windows 11, and that's gonna require some hardware, so we're getting those pricing pieces. We're gonna have to upgrade a little bit of our network to, that ticks a bunch of boxes. It makes sure that we can take advantage of the fiber internet and the new phone systems. And it allows us, brain cramp, that's gone. It'll come back.
There's a third thing.
Yeah, there's a third thing, but I was looking at two,
Yeah,
fingers. I
anyway,
got stung on my finger this afternoon.
Oh.
I felt something on my neck and it was a bee. And
Oh,
so
So good.
I just reminded me, anyway, trauma, it just inserts itself. Let's see, so, we came across one last software/phone IT support vendor located in Lebanon, which we found them before, but we just became
Rob
aware of them.
Taylor sent out. a
Rob Taylor
recommendation
sends
for
a referral, so they will be the last one that we get proposals for either PC and PC support or phone or networking. Those are the pieces we need to bring together to solve or resolve all the letting go of Comcast issues. All these things, it looks like by moving to VoIP and internet-based phones, we get some new features that I think will be useful through the town. And all of those proposals from those vendors will be significantly less money than what we pay for phones
Great.
through Comcast. On the other hand, because it's never too easy, The IT and computer upgrade is gonna cost us some money. There's some market stress right now in this world, and so prices are on the increase. And not likely to go down according to the vendors because of the drivers of it. Some of the tariffs, some of the war, bunch of things that are just affecting IT equipment across the board. So that's the world we happen to be living in at the moment. We need to do this work.
Mhm.
So that is gonna sort of dampen our enthusiasm about the massive drop in phone charges. So in the end, it will.
Yeah, over
be-
time, it's gonna save gobs of money, but there is this, you know, and we are
There's a-
getting used to this new world. You know, literally, we would spend $4,000 with Mark Cohen a year. We've had one proposal which we're not going with, we would have spent practically $4,000 a month.
Yeah,
And so,
well, the 4,000 was a false,
yes, right, I mean, they.
that was real
right.
lucky. That
Yeah,
was-
well, and Mark took care of a different system than what we'll have in the future. But we are, you know, like I said, Brad, you're meeting with the
Yeah,
last IT
Tomorrow,
guy
at 9:30,
tomorrow.
you know, and these guys could be one-stop shopping. They do in fact do hardware and software installation and maintenance. They also do phones and they do the security monitoring, the network monitoring and remote help kind of things. So where one flavor is a Key Communications, our current vendor, would do all of our phones, and Hub 66 does all our internet. They're gonna do all our internet, no matter what the solution is for the others.
Right.
But Key Communications on phone and Ormsby, which is the group that the school uses, that's one bundle that solves our issues, provides solutions to those three. This other Saguaro might be the one stop. So just them and Hub 66 internet, and that's how we solve all our.
And they seem to be a fairly small scale operation as opposed to a SimQuest or size organization.
The only challenge is that they're based in Lebanon, and so they're probably used to getting network, you know, Lebanon pricing. And that's one advantage of Ormsby is that they're a little bit out of that hot bubble of the Tri-Town area. So we'll see, but on the plus side, there's no shortage of providers and we don't need anything too exotic. We're just trying to move everything so that we have, you know, the right services at a reasonable cost. That we aren't just getting on the monthly subscription escalator, you know, and not getting value for it.
I have a question about the phones, because it came up for emergency purposes. Will we still have a hard landline?
No,
Don't think so.
So
The
if we
world
are
is
down,
moving away from that. Copper is everybody's moving away from copper.
okay, so in an emergency,
Yep,
internet's down, power, we have the generator,
yep.
but won't bring up the internet. What are we gonna do for the EOC without a phone?
Cell will be your backup, and in terms of reliability, the fiber internet, well, anything that's pole-based is subject to the problems of poles. So the problem that would make copper go down could also make fiber go down, anything. So then you're into wireless options. Now, you could, and we could look into satellite, Starlink, you know, other things if
Mhm.
we're concerned about redundancy. But the rest of the world is not as concerned. The cell towers are standalone, self-sufficient, but one cell tower doesn't do you any good, right? It needs to reach the network. So you have to talk about a very widespread outage before cell is not a reasonable thing to count on with very high reliability. But that's.
Except in
assuming
my
you-
house.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you don't have
That's-
Wi-Fi, my cell doesn't work.
right, well, one of the things about the fiber. Is exactly, it's the same installation as the copper. There
Right.
is a steel cable that's run from pole to pole and the fiber is wrapped around it. So like your phone line, it almost works every time, even though the power's out. The fiber is still gonna be energized. And it would have to be, it has to be severed and in between it is this big metal. You know, big cable. And
So
so
the thing
it's less
that-
likely to go out than cable TV, which can just get knocked off the pole.
Well, so the copper it's our historically comfortable backup, right?
Mhm.
And the rest of the stuff is new and risky. Well, it's not so new anymore. we've now been living with it, and it's pretty mature and it's pretty reliable. So but to Lisa's point, if you have cell coverage when it's fair weather, and then you're likely to have cell coverage all the time. If you don't have it, you're never gonna have it until they change the tower, right? Because that's
We don't have it.
geography based.
Yeah.
Okay, so, to answer any concern that you may have about EOC, we should talk about EOC, primary, secondary, whatever,
Yeah.
and look at those. And if you need,
Well, the
Other
PD's right here
redundancy.
too. I mean, everything in this building.
so at the moment, without having signal maps for this site,
Yep,
I've been operating under the assumption that cell is going to be fine as a secondary or even a primary, but it's one of our two systems. And the other would be internet, okay? It hadn't occurred to me to hang on to any copper because in all the conversations I'm having, the copper isn't where vendors want to be, so they're scaling back their support. And just like any other technology, if you don't keep it up, it degrades.
Mhm.
And so the signal is already causing me a problem with copper lines on fire alarm systems. When they go to dial out, they're looking for a certain strength in the line and they're not getting it, so they go into a fault. And all I'm being told is it's the old copper and nobody's replacing it with new stuff.
Okay.
So I took that as a signal to, are there other choices? And the answer is yes.
yep. Okay.
There's cell and there's internet-based calls
And these new radios.
and radios, right? But let's
Yeah,
continue
let's-
that conversation.
Yeah, I'd like to bring Rob and Eric in on
Yep,
that too,
yep.
just so that we have their.
And just so that you go back to the end user for the phone in the VoIP world, the thing that I think is gonna be most beneficial to the town is that we can have one piece of hardware, and it can be our personal phone, or it can be a phone that the town provides. But we run our calls through a VoIP app. So to the world, we are reachable as the facility manager of Plainfield. When I'm calling out, it says I'm the facility manager of Plainfield. They leave me a voicemail or a text message. It all goes into that bucket. And then I close that app and I have my personal phones.
Okay.
And so
what
the
is-
segregation of those things will be a lot cleaner, and it feels like, and the marginal cost for a line or an extension, depending on what they need, in most cases, it'll work as an extension, there's no cost. And so that's really attractive, because you can bring on, Dan or, some
I
other.
mean, you can have a line as human services director and it'll be on your phone as an app. And you'll use your phone and just call, but people will never see your cell number. They'll only see the down number.
So
and-
what is VoIP?
Voice over IP, which is internet protocol.
Okay,
So
We
all it is-
have now.
I mean, it's better for conference calling and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, it gives you all kinds of other features. I don't know if those are valuable to the world, but knowing that my coming on board here, I'm still using my personal phone.
yeah,
The world has known that the facility manager was 2121 for umpteen years, so wasn't a huge issue to keep going. But it really is wrong,
yeah,
right?
it is,
You know,
yes.
and so this is a way to move away from that without with it being transparent to the outside world.
Yes.
Cause the outside world will still know 3201 for the town office,
Mhm.
and we'll know we'll port our same half dozen numbers that the public knows.
Yeah.
Libraries will have their numbers, and the calls will come through our system, but they don't ring everywhere,
Yeah.
right? It just rings at the library. But essentially, somebody here wants to reach Jim, they push his extension
Yeah,
and they get him.
I mean,
well,
effectively,
it
we
makes
haven't
sense to
had
not have everybody have two
traditional
phones.
phone lines at town office for the last 10 years. There is no copper here because it's
Right.
Comcast.
Yep.
And so it's the internet.
And it has worked. And we're just getting rid of the behemoth Comcast who doesn't answer the phone when we want them,
Exactly.
you know, when we need them. So, and.
But we'll see who's gonna answer it next, but.
Yeah, right.
Mm,
All right, that's great.
Well,
Yeah,
Anyway,
great talking to you.
yeah, I'll see what else is. Let's see, so Hub 66, I have never had a conversation with an individual on the phone that had so many words, and in the end, you hang up and you go, they said nothing, right? So
It's a
I have a lot of
I
those.
drove to Burr Road, and I'm sure you thought it was me, but anyway, I drove to Burr Road because I was told they were active there, that they were actually hanging wire, and I could see actual new stuff on the poles.
Yeah.
No guys, no trucks, and it's Burr Road, some stuff like, you know.
Can't
Yeah,
miss
yeah, I
out.
can't miss
Safer
that.
is 120, 12A, whatever, you know, I'd rather see them closer to here, but they assure me that they're.
But I mean,
working
they
hard.
have an obligation,
They're
we
gonna
will
do it
be
by
active in
September.
September, because the hub has to be active.
Right, so they had their tech guy splitting out all the connections so that when the big cable gets hung outside here, they can punch it out and actually will light up our line and we'll be able to reach and start implementing our use of that. But right now, they're just telling me it's happening. It just hasn't happened here yet. And then PD printer fax is set up now. Keep Communications sent tech down because we had a premise wiring issue that we couldn't solve. And so it's now functioning and we're off and running on that one. And I installed a handrail on the book shed at ramp at Philip Reed and glued down and bolted down the handrail at Plainfield Town Hall. And we'll see how long that lasts. But I have,
When you put in a larger bolt,
I put in a larger bolt, drilled a new hole, mixed a whole bunch of epoxy, we'll see. We're staying on it.
granite is tough to work with, it either
Well,
fits or it breaks.
I drilled a hole and I was surprised at how quickly it went on one side. And so I got all excited and flew that
That'll
to the other
teach you.
side. It was like, it did not move for 10 minutes and I'm looking at the bit, it doesn't look like it's dull. Anyway, I put the one in and glued it and moved on and we'll see. It isn't, it's the thing that keeps it from feeling a little bit loose. It couldn't go anywhere, right?
Okay.
It's bolted in many places along the frame. It had a little more play, and if you depend on that stability, I
Mhm.
could see how it'd be disconcerting, but you could lean on it and it would not go anywhere, so. We'll, even if this bolt holds, I have other things I can try, okay? Let's see, water department, we're almost done on the meter swaps. Couple of loose ends, but we're close to finishing. And I've got a conversation going, I meet tomorrow with John Smith, who's the president of the Spruce Park Group.
Mhm.
They happened to call me saying, we want to swap an old trailer for a new trailer, old home for a new home. And we want to do it the way you want us to do it. So we're gonna do a demo. They're gonna pay for it, but we're gonna set it up the way we are trying to get them to do all of them eventually. And so this would be great for everybody to see the advantages of getting the thing out from underneath the house, getting a new meter that doesn't need to be, you know,
Mhm.
it auto reads and all that stuff. So I'm excited and we'll see what their timeline is, but my hope is they see it, they understand what it takes, they work it into their plan for their capital improvements. And a year from now or whenever, but fairly soon, they go back and retrofit all the existing homes. That's their vision and our vision, and we'll see what it takes to make that happen.
Has there been any further conversations about continuing the loop?
Yes, that's on their to-do list. In fact, the last thing that I talked to John about a month or so ago was we have this other grant that is the next bullet item. The sustainability grant. We had gotten a price from Dufrain. Didn't like the structure of the deal that much, so I went to Fuss and, is it Fuss or Fuse?
Fuse.
Fuse and O'Neill, and on the hopes that they might, and they were cautiously optimistic, they said, send us what you need. They looked at it and they said, we can't really beat that, because our guys would come out of Connecticut and it's $1,500 a trip. So I said, thank you very much, and what's his name lives in Cornish?
Dan Monat,
Dan,
our town
you know.
engineer.
Anyway, I think it was a good round, you know, we had a couple good conversations, but in the end, it was okay, thank you very much, they understood that wasn't gonna work. We've now executed the agreement with Dufrain, kickoff meeting is next week, that ticks one of the boxes for DES to get the ball rolling, but they will start on the engineering for the water treatment plant to tell us, how do we get out of the volume we're in now, which is filters aren't lasting long enough. And so that's starting to ramp up. And today I spent some time with Granite State Rural Water Tech on the asset management system. We went and Q&A'd some points that I had put in there, and I was able to go out and in the field, stand on a curb stop and nudge the point on the map so that it was actually GPS accurate. So the benefit to that is our map will become more accurate when we do this little tweaking exercise. But ultimately, it gives us a guide, and so that if we got a snow covered yard, we can fire up an app on our phone and it will tell me when I'm standing on the curb stop and it can dig there rather than
Mhm.
saying, I wonder if our old maps are right. So I will, over the next month or so, go through all of our connections and GPS correct. We've already got hydrants located, valves located, water mains identified. So our database of or a model of what our system has in it is improved or is now almost fully in place. And I just gave her the list of pricing from all the materials of the different types of stuff that I had priced because we want to have some backup things for emergency repair. We need to inventory that stuff. That'll give us that first sense of the current asset value, because you would take replacement cost as one way to come at it. Original cost doesn't really matter now that it's 50 years old. So we'll start getting a glimpse as to what is the current state of our system, the current value of our system, and what do we need to be having a set aside for reserves to do the expected maintenance, given the lifespan of these devices, the pieces, parts. And so it's all sort of moving along, coming together, but that's where we are with the asset management of the water department. There's some other stuff happening with Upper Valley Lake Sunapee that hasn't quite started yet. And I'll probably have more in the next meeting,
Excellent.
hopefully. So that's good enough for tonight.
I got a text here from both Bruce Elder and Chief Gutzfeld. They both said it, sounds like I don't know if they were getting awards or they were.
Oh.
And so but it's gone longer than they thought. And I told both of them to go home. They were both.
That was fine.
They were both.
Yeah.
So Bruce is, Bruce
That's fine.
would come driving over here on a drop of a hat. He is not a full-time fire chief. He can go home and see his family. It's okay.
Yeah, all right. Did you have any?
Yeah, just a couple of, I just had a couple of rich things and follow up. I think the selectmen, we talked about it at the end of last year. Our first paving project of the year was actually managed by the town of Enfield.
Yes.
And so that work has been done. And
I've driven it.
Enfield has put gravel on their side of the road and thought Plainfield ought to follow just as quickly as they could on getting its side gravelled. That'll have an estimated cost to us of about $30,000, the amount of pavement that was done there. And so when we talk about, I do feel strongly, we'll probably do Baines Road, and that'll be something around 77,000. You might do a small little road somewhere, an intersection or something, but we are exhausting at an alarming rate our diesel bill.
Yeah.
We have estimated $3.50 a gallon for diesel, and we're paying closer to $6.
Wow.
And Rich's trucks, I mean, he's doing the work we ask him to do,
Yep.
which is to ditch and to grade, but we're going through $3,000 a diesel a week.
Wow.
And so I think we are gonna have to not be comfortable going into winter. We're gonna have to keep some reserve on the budget. I mean,
Yeah.
no one could have predicted, or at least we didn't predict. I mean, we didn't have any reason to
That's
think
a
we were
lot.
going to war.
So I have a question though.
Yeah,
We had talked about, I will admit, I've not been up Baines Road. I don't know what condition it's in.
right,
But the two little roads that Rich was talking about,
right.
I got the impression from what he was saying that those things were falling apart.
Yeah,
So does it make more sense to put Baines Road off till next year and do the two little ones and
I
stack the difference?
I think we can do, I would like to keep between $20,000 and $30,000 of the highway block grant money aside for supplemental to highway budget, right? It's perfectly fine to use that money for anything highway related. We call it our paving money, but that's a very old term and goes back to many, many years ago. That money, we try to use it for paving. But still, I think we can do Baines in those two little roads. You can have a different discussion about whether you should pave those two roads or scarify the pavement and turn them to gravel. The residents on each road would not think that was a great idea, right? They like having a paved driveway. But both of these roads, and it's just the fact of life in a small New England town, both of these roads are spur roads that go nowhere, right? One goes to a bridge abutment on Bonner Road hasn't existed in any of our lifetimes. I can't remember going to Plainfield School and seeing that.
So
bridge.
that's the little road that goes by where Andy Thompson used to live.
Yes,
That's his-
Cheese Farm Road, we
Yeah.
call it or something, and so that road is paved now and is relatively short and serves two residents, but is beat up. Our choices, and you can have a better conversation with Rich, but our choices are pave it, which is what the residents would like and expect, and that's been what they've known since they've lived there. Or we could remove the pavement and hard pack it at a substantially cheaper cost, roll it, and it would be more like a driveway than a road, but it would still be better than pothole pavement. And so we can talk to Rich. I don't know what the value of paving those two roads is in terms of how much dollars, whether it's probably $20,000 or so dollars. The other one is a little longer, which is Whitney Road, which is the old 12A. If you think about where 12A used to come, it came up by the cemetery, it was level with the cemetery, shot up through by where Mary Cassidy lived at the end of where Stage Road is across the road, and then went up to that other house, then came back toward Reed's Hill. The state gave us that road when they moved 12A in the 50s, and so Whitney Road has two residences on it because San Germano's house is accessed from it, but it effectively serves one house. I mean, you come around the corner, you head off to San Germano's, their drive is probably paved, I don't know, it is paved, and then up to Whitney's, and so both of those are, we're gonna spend 30 to 40,000 to pave those roads, but they're relatively small, and the residents would not like to have a hard packed surface as well as they like a paved surface, but
Okay,
it's an option,
I can appreciate that position,
right?
but as someone who lives on Jordan Road, which is a dirt road that only serves three,
Right? I mean, there is no requirement that we keep pavement, there is a requirement that we do maintenance, that we keep
Right.
the road plowed, that we keep it open. So, at the next meeting, let's have a.
Yeah, these are good questions from Rich.
Correct,
right?
we'll know
Yes.
the value of how much it's gonna cost to repave them, and Rich may have good reasons why they should be paved.
Right,
and.
But there is
yes.
also, there's, just as an aside, because I brought up hard pack, Cornish has done what we've talked about for a couple of years, and we haven't done it yet, but if you go up toward Langwood Farm, they are now applying hard pack to their gravel road,
Mhm.
something Jim Taylor has talked about in Enfield for 5 or 6 years now. It's more expensive than our gravel, and it's more expensive, but cheaper than pavement, and they feel like it helps the shape of the road, it helps with maintenance on the road, or keeping costs down. If you're out that way, or you're going to an event this summer at Longwood Farm for any reason, you can see it, it's what a hard packed town road looks like. It's up there right off of Dodge Road, just go to the end of Dodge and go uphill.
We're actually having our August community luncheon that we always do combined with Cornish. It will be at the Langwood Farm. Bloods is
Langwood,
catering, so
perfect,
please come and check out the Hard Pack Drive.
That would be good, so Rich will have good paving quotes for us at the next meeting. I do think we should reserve some money. Not that I think we're expiring the highway budget faster than we need to, but we sure have killed the diesel line, and it's early, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
early, we're at halfway, almost, but not quite. Grading, he has been on,
Freeman Road.
yeah, and he's been over this last week, he's been on Porter Road, Ledoux, Colby Hill, Grantham, Porter, Colby Hill, Thomas Jordan, that's the other big one, so he finished up there today, he's gonna do High Street. And get over to Croydon Turnpike, which needs it in that country early next week, and he also needs to do Center Down. But he is making progress, the grader has settled in. Rich, and I think, it just happens in the work, it's not a critical thing. Rich got a little carried away with Scarifier, because we haven't always used the Scarifier. and poked some really nice uniform holes in one road culvert. The scarifier are these big huge teeth that he can lower and push the dirt up, think about the road, how packed it is. The moldboard has a hard time doing it, but the scarifier can like plow the road, while it also plows culverts, as we found out. So we're working through a couple of things. The grader has, I don't wanna jinx it, the grader has settled in nicely and is out every single day.
Good.
Desperately, when we think about the long-term aspects of the town, and I know, we're in this labor thing that nobody understands right now, where we can't get people, or people can get better jobs, staying home, working on their computers or whatever. It is not sustainable to have Rich be the grader operator, the road agent, and the mechanic. He can't be
When
those
was
three.
the last time we posted that job or did like a real campaign to get, yes, it's open.
Yeah, and it's been a while, we've
Right.
gotten tired
But
on it, and
I've
yeah.
heard anecdotally that people who've posted jobs for a variety of different
starting to get
jobs
better
are
candidates.
starting to get way more candidates at least than they were.
And so I think,
So
You know,
maybe
I mean,
to
one or the other.
be a
at
little more
least.
active.
We need either the grader guy, an experienced equipment guy who can be our lead on
Yeah.
equipment. Or a mechanic,
Yeah.
right? Cause any hour that Rich is doing a menial job in the shop on a truck that he's qualified to do, he can't be in the grader.
That's right.
Right, even if it's doing a brake job, right, he is not, and right now, I mean. I think with the experience we had with the other grader, Rich feels like he should be in the grader, so he's responsible for
Yeah.
anything that happens to the motor.
Well, it just might be worth a conversation about reposting
Yeah,
somewhere.
no, I'll do
Wherever
that.
we post those.
But basically, summer has gone on. We had talked about it and it didn't come up at the last meeting. Rich did go to 4-day weeks this week. With the caveat that there's somebody available on Friday if there's any problems with weather
Okay,
and until school
I
gets
will
out.
note that I don't believe that was brought to. the
No,
select
no,
board.
no, it wasn't. And he just, he's.
Yeah, so I
so-
was ready to hear that from
Yeah.
him and he did not
Right,
reflect it.
he didn't,
So-
and he is down to about 4 roads, 5 roads that,
But you as the town administrator felt he was.
Yeah, I
making
think,
Enough
I
progress.
think it is, and the highway department, it is one of the benefits that those guys look forward to.
Yes,
I've impressed upon him the need to make it a 10-hour day, right? We start
yeah.
at 6:30, whenever they get there,
100%.
and
Yeah.
it's the full 10.
Yes.
And he'll go, but we have made great progress the last 2 weeks on grading.
I'm
And so,
happy to hear that.
so are the residents. And so, it's not. There's always gonna be questions about, are we grading deep enough? Are we crowning enough? Are we doing all of those things? And the answers are, any number of answers you could come up with. But we are making progress and Rich is, and he is, every day, we have Paul Healy now. So he's the part-time guy that comes, and so he's filling in, he's back, which gives Rich another hand. And I don't think we ever get back to 7 full-timers, but one
But
more.
one more would help a
Oh,
lot.
and
yeah.
it can't be just a road guy,
Yeah.
just a truck guy, it has to be a mechanic
Yes.
or an equipment operator. And so I'll ask Rich about
Okay.
freshening those up.
Yeah,
There's some stuff in the police sign, there is a document from Plodzik and Sanderson.
yeah.
Which is, gets sent to the DRA, which is the MS 535. Which they prepare as part of their auditing fee. And they indicate that, and I think there's a representation letter in there too. And if there isn't, then I need to get one before I think I put it in there early, like 2 weeks ago. Or I have it in here, I should check.
No, I'm
But,
sure I saw
so,
that.
did you see it?
The representation.
It's called the
letter.
yeah, and so
Was
this,
it the,
We've
I
got
can't say
the,
the MS 535.
I didn't notice that, which doesn't,
Then I should go, before we go, it's right.
oh, is it right
Yeah,
here? I'm sorry.
And
I
so
did
it's
look
just,
at
it was
that. You're
just
right,
framing
you're right.
sign, and so
Okay, I
that
did
will
read that.
free
Oh,
the.
that's why I didn't
I'm
notice
sorry.
it. It's just
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
That will
I did see
free,
that.
I mean,
This
they
is
will,
national.
they will then release the 25 audit and we'll get it posted up on the website. As,
Okay.
as we
Yes.
do with all the others.
That's right.
You just check.
so what is this document? This is telling us that this is what voters appropriated in this time or
The
what?
MS 535 is really the 25, it is a form that comes out of the audit process. You'll see numbers in the town report of expenses and how we, this is the end of the day, the official final audited expenses, revenues, status of fund balance, did you go over the budget, under the budget, all of those things. And so an MS 535 is probably the most complex municipal form, hence you make it part of your audit. They fill it out rather than us.
So it's an in-progress document for 2026.
No, it
No,
really,
it's the final
it says the
2025.
twenty-six MS 535, but
Right.
it refers to the 25.
And
How we finished the
December
year
31st.
25.
So we finished,
You know, you'll see a difference.
overspent, right?
Well, there's always overspent, overrun, no.
I don't think so. I think there's they have some separate funds in there, or right, the tax.
Right, I mean, so what they'll,
Yeah, I was just looking at.
so these are the starting balances, ending balances.
Oh,
And then at the end, what they'll tell you is that fund equity was 1,411,000, it's 1,457,000. At the beginning, at the ending, and so the difference is a negative to 48. But it is their official audit of the town. It is the same numbers that appear in the town report. So the unassigned fund balance, which is a different number they calculate for us, actually went up.
oh, yeah, this is the one I was looking at. So estimated revenues, we thought we'd get, or.
Right.
Thought we'd get that amount.
And we thought we'd get 11,212,000, we got
Oh,
11,678,000, and then there'll be the same for expenses.
Okay.
And this accounts for all of the financial transactions we make in the course of the year. Turning the money over to the school district, turning the money to the county, doing all the expendable trust funds that we have. You know, we spend about $500,000 a year out of the expendable trust funds, which you have authority to spend because your agents do expend. And then Plaza gets to audit those as well.
Yeah.
And so that is as big a deal in terms of our MS, like most of the MS reports you get are the two biggies, 535 and the summary evaluation that we set the tax rate on. That's a biggie. The other one is the proposed budget and then the results of town meeting. You know, here's our proposed budget, here's our town meeting results, how it went. And then this one ties those all together at the end of the year. And it is, you know, the very interesting thing about towns and cities, we set our tax rate in October on appropriations, right? It's not expenditures. The voters said you've appropriated $6 million. So we set our tax rate on that appropriation. On the revenues, they say, how many revenues you think you're gonna get? It's October when we set the tax rate. We get revenues through December.
Yeah.
So it's the tax rate setting. So there's always variances between what we thought would happen at tax rate setting and what actually happened at the MS 535. But the good news for the town of Plainfield is, and this goes to something you haven't done yet, but you will this fall. At tax rate setting time, the selectmen have the authority to raise additional money from taxes, which you might choose to do on some years, and to spend money out of unassigned fund balance. And the unassigned fund balance is just that. It's all of our assets, less all our liabilities, less any of our reservations. And in this town, the selectmen have said, any money over $1 million, we will keep $1 million of fund balance, which is we wash out a bridge. It's the emergency fund. You can go to, you can go to the DRA and you can get emergency funding authorization out of them. But the selectmen have said anything over $1 million, and you have to revisit that number as the town gets
Right.
bigger. But anything over $1 million immediately gets released at tax rate setting each October. And so next year, when we look at if you pulled out your town report now, it would say you had a fund balance of $1 million something. Whatever the something is, that money will immediately go to reduce taxes. And it brings us back down to $1 million. And then if you have a bad year, you could slip under $1 million. If you have a good year, maybe you'll go up over $1 million. But the real key for one of the strongest authorities that the selectmen have at tax rate setting is the ability, you can raise extra money. You can say to the DRA, Plainfield's tax rate's gonna drop by $1. But next year, it's gonna go up by $2, because we know the school's in a bind, we know we're in a bind. you can say, we're gonna soften that by raising additional money this year. And the limits are so significant, you wouldn't hit them in Plainfield. The DRA on your elected authority as selectmen will allow you to do that. And so you can raise, and we've done that over the years. We have raised on years when we knew the rate would drop more than it would the next year, right? Cause you don't want your tax rate to be here one year, here the next because of an anomaly, and then back up to here. It would be much better to have it be just an even keel. And so you can't move it a lot, but we have over the years used, and so when I said earlier in our public comment part, when we go into town meeting to tell people what we plan to do the next year, the most important number that we need is unassigned fund balance. That is the amount of money that is, we either overspent the budget, and our revenues didn't meet our projections, and now we're in a hole, or we more likely, we underspent the budget and we got a little bit more revenue than we thought, and this is where we think we'll be. That number is critical to us, and so having it in the town report to give voter confidence is important. And so we try really hard with Project, and they make it every year. I mean, by February, we have that number, and now, as you just saw, you just signed the representation letter in the MS 535. The rest of the paperwork comes later, but the unassigned fund balance has not changed. It is exactly what they said it was.
Okay,
So, I mean, there
is
is,
that it?
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day.
I
Yeah.
was just thinking there was more.
No, at the end, I mean, at the end of the day, the financial health of the town of Plainfield is strong.
Right.
It
and-
feels good.
And there is, could Cornish claims a bigger unassigned fund balance than we have. I mean, they're not, they have a max, they're holding more money than we are. But I think our number is fair and reasonable. And because of the work that Plotzik does, they validate that for us. And one of the things that we will be doing this next year, and we had not thought about it, and they point out in their discussions with us, we will come up with a more advanced system for the trash stickers.
Oh,
Well, because the trash stickers are not numbered. Tracking them is technically very difficult, right? You get 1,000 trash stickers here and you sell them all day long. We used to do it with the little guys,
Right,
right?
right.
But they were $2.50.
Right.
Now they're $195.
yes.
It's for the year.
Yeah.
And so we need to tighten up that piece. Michelle, Sarah, and I talked today, because all three of us are in, about, and they have a few things they can do on their side. The clerk does all the sales of these stickers, because she's got the system to do it. So we're working on that, but I think at the very least, the stickers will have a unique number on each one next year. Because what the auditors wanna be able
That's
to do is say, show me what happened to sticker 2010. Where's that sticker? And you look and you say, well, I sold it to Elise and Jalalo, and
Yeah.
here's the deposit, and here's where the money went. But right now,
Yeah, just.
because the little ones, we couldn't do
Cookie
anything.
jar.
So that's one we gotta tighten up a little bit.
So what's the enforcement mechanism with that anyway? Where people that like drive, the Casella people are supposed to?
Yeah, it's better now, because in the old days with the $2 sticker, although we brought in a pile of money with those stickers. The driver on the back of the truck. He would throw in the garbage can, and he's not necessarily looking at every bag, was there a
Right.
sticker? Now the sticker is on top of the toter,
Yeah,
and starting this week. We've had a couple of discussions as to whether they're actually doing it as well as they said they would or not. If he doesn't see a blue sticker on top, he does not service the can.
Although, I recall Dave from Casella saying, but we're a business and we're a customer service business.
Right,
And they may opt to do
just
that
do it.
can instead because they don't wanna hear from the person.
right, and I've got a whole text chain
So,
with Jessica.
so we do go back and
Yeah,
forth on that.
But I think it is easier for the guy in the
They can
truck with
see
the
it.
arm. He just looks and says, oh, that's an orange sticker, I'm not gonna do that to
Yeah.
it. Now, that person's gonna call and say, my garbage didn't get picked up. We're gonna say, did you renew
Yeah,
your
what's your
sticker?
sticker?
And he'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
shit, and then he'll run over to town hall. We have sold over $100,000 in those stickers to date.
Fantastic.
I mean, people buy them, Plainfield residents, it makes, somebody comes in and says, we had a guy who's, of course, he got Reynolds, so he's making money there. But but he bought 4 of them for the 4 toters. I mean, it's real money.
Yeah.
You write a check. But so far, mostly, this is the one time of the year where you can swap your toter. You can say, well,
Yes.
hey, but you can say, geez, you know, really, I'd like to go to that $130 toter. I think I could use the little one.
Yeah.
And so Casella will come, bring you another one, and then we sell you and punch the right, the right number out in the coupon that says you bought 100. But
Yeah.
in theory, Orange no longer
Right.
gets you service. Certainly by the next service, Orange will not get you service.
Right.
I've got I won't bore you with it, but a whole chain of text with Jessica from Casella, who's our person, saying, we're on it.
Good.
Orange, we won't
Good.
service, blue, we will.
Good.
It sometimes takes 2 cycles to get
Yeah.
the driver to do that, but I think
Yeah.
the fun part is it because it's so visible, neighbors will call.
Yeah.
They'll be like, hey, I paid for my sticker, but I don't,
Yeah.
Well, I do admit to driving down the road,
looking for orange, right? The blue.
Not that I want, I'm not.
I know my dad's got his sticker, I bought
Right,
it
we,
for him.
we did the
That's fine.
purple, because that was Michelle's year to pick the color. I did the blaze orange, cause it's hunting orange, but I think lime yellow next year will be
Just, it's
ugly.
easier for them to
The
see.
blue is a little hard, because
It
it,
does, 'cause
it,
it
it
blends
blends in
into the
with the top of the toner
Yeah,
a little bit more, but
Yeah.
the reality is the user fees program works really well.
Great.
For, you know, it's amazing, given tax bills in Plainfield, not a cheap community to live in, we know that. And then they come in and give us $200 for their toter sticker and say thank you, and oh, by the way, here's my 2 car registrations. And so it works,
Wild.
it works, but that's what I had for tonight.
All right. Anything else before we are
Thank
going,
you.
we are going to move into a non-public session to discuss an employee matter. So, but we will be coming out of that only with the purpose of adjourning the full meeting, so we won't be coming out with any movie bits.
have a good evening.
Or business. Thank you. So
Thank
I
you all.
do need a motion. Thank you all.
I move that we go into non-public session, and when we come out of non-public session, we will be adjourning the meeting for this evening.
All right, so this, we do need a roll call vote to go into non-public.
Louise Angelillo, aye.
Amy Hackman, aye. So as soon as everyone, the room is clear, we will be in non-public session.
All right, we're gonna shut down the Zoom, but thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.